Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to do a 5 maybe 6 week update on my Fenix 7 Pro. So it has been an amazing watch. So I kind of want to talk about it, some of the pros, some of the improvements over the previous just Fenix 7, and why this has not left my wrist the entire period I've had it, for my Instinct, which previously kind of won me over from the previous generation Fenix. So first, talk about some of the changes they made. So the heart rate monitor, has it gotten better? Now this one's a little tricky because I do see a noticeable improvement in the heart rate tracker, the wrist-based tracking, in both weightlifting and cycling. And I don't know if it's because it got better or because of this new band, because I think this band does make a difference as well. The watch just feels more planted on my wrist using these Velcro bands as opposed to using, kind of the traditional rubber ones. So perhaps that could be contributing to it. I think for cycling it probably definitely is, because there's virtually no more wobbling of the watch, no more vibration like I tend to get with these rubber bands. So I'm pretty much all in on these. I got like 7 or 8 of them now. But wearing this Velcro one definitely, I think, for cycling makes a difference because the watch just stays planted. So maybe for weightlifting that's transitioning to, but I have noticed that it's tracking weightlifting and cycling better. Although cycling, like I said, I think it was the wobbling that maybe resolved. But for weightlifting, obviously, it's something that trackers often struggle with, and this one has been doing a great job. So much that I've actually been relying on it. I typically will use like a Scosche, forearm-based one predominantly. I hate wearing chest straps, so I've always just used like my Scosche or my Polar, I think H10, just kind of ones you wear on a forearm predominantly. But last couple of sessions I've just used this, and I found the results to be just as good. And the only downside is obviously which is that in some exercises this kind of just having something on your wrist does get in the way. Like for example, when I do cable crossovers, I usually would take my watch off, put it in my pocket when I'm wearing my forearm base, because like the cables would kind of like get in the way. So that's still an issue, but for the most part it's been very good as far as wrist-based tracking for me. So really nice benefit. Again, I can't quite say if it's the new optical sensor or maybe just wearing this new band. I don't know, because I've been wearing this band predominantly for the last like 3 or 4 weeks, or this type of band. So, but I would say it's better. So I think the heart rate tracking has gotten improved over the previous generation. The biggest feature that I'm in love with more than I thought I'd be, I mean, I knew I would, but is the flashlight. So that is awesome. I don't know why, but it's just such a helpful, great feature for me. I use it almost every day. When I'm getting into bed, I tend to stay up later than my wife, so when I have to go to bed, the lights are off. So this helps just navigating to the bed. Getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, I mean, I can hit the bullseye much better now when I have this light, and I don't have to turn on the bathroom lights anymore and kind of, mess up my sleep. So super handy there. And then just for odd and ends, time when, it's dark and you need to something, you have to look under the couch for something, boom, you got it right there. If I'm messing with my home network and I need to read something off the back of the router, I don't know, something small, just having a flashlight there is awesome. Like, it's one of the best features I think Garmin ever came up with, which is probably why I haven't gone back to the Fenix, because this flashlight is just too cool to pass up. Although I have not gotten a chance to use it for biking yet, which I think could be cool too, because now that it's starting to get darker, I usually will go biking in the morning, but maybe now that it's cooling off, I might do some afternoon or evening as it gets darker sooner. Having that red flash might be kind of cool as well, just to be seen better. But yeah, flashlight, awesome. I guess I didn't realize how awesome until I tried it. I knew it would be good, but better than I expected. But obviously this is not relative to the watch, but these NATO, actually I don't know what they're called, I don't say NATO, but just these Velcro bands, I'm a huge fan of them. I think that's pretty much all I wear now. The only thing that sucks about them is they get wet very easily, so that's why I have several, because sometimes you get in the shower and you just forget to take it off. So then once it's drenched, it takes a while to dry off, and obviously you don't want it wet around your skin, so usually I'll just switch it there. Or even after like a rigorous workout, it kind of gets sweaty as well. So that's the only downside, but that's why I have several to cycle through. The screen, they upgrade the screen to be a little bit more vibrant and kind of just brighter, and I do feel like I do notice a difference. It is a little just easier to read, a little more kind of vivid than probably I've been used to. Despite having, I'm not a big fan of the solar, the sapphire, but despite having the sapphire, it's still, I think, I see a noticeable just kind of legibility of it, especially when it's like in kind of like a dim setting and the screen's not backlit. It's much easier to kind of read information off of it kind of at a glance versus kind of really kind of having to look at it. Which I've always thought that the Instinct kind of did a better job of that, to be honest, in terms of being of legibility. Kind of just a quick time check when you're working, just looking, your hand is down like this, you just want to kind of quickly see the time. That was one reason I kind of favor the Instinct, was it was just a little bit more legible, even though it didn't have color or all the large screen, just always kind of looked a little bit more legible to me. But now I feel like this is kind of on par. It is a little more legible, so I do think the screen improvement is worthwhile. So overall, like I said, I've been super happy with this watch. Predominantly all I wear. I haven't worn this one once yet, and in fact I actually ended up pausing my Whoop subscription just because this thing just blows the Whoop out of the water. So I've actually paused my Whoop membership because I just, I felt like just wasting it when I'm predominantly using this. So the Whoop is paused. I might actually try to sell it just because, to be honest, I much prefer this, but we'll see how that goes. So overall, great. The two things, or actually I say the one thing that did not really impress me, and I was hoping it would, is the whole auto dimming feature. They incorporated that, but I don't know. I didn't see anything. I felt like it didn't work like I'd hoped it would work. So it's supposed to make the screen, auto bright the screen, but I don't know. It didn't work. I think it was too conservative, but I was hoping that in dimly lit situations it would make it more brighter, right? Like at nighttime and so forth, and then in the daytime dim it. But I don't know. It always just looked too dim for me, so I turned it off. So that feature was a little disappointing. And then solar, it's still not quite as effective as I had hoped. In the Instinct, I've seen the solar work. I mean, if I'm at my kids' baseball game where you're outside, I've actually seen the percentage go up on this watch. There was, I think, one time at a game, it was a really sunny day. I think I was like at 85%, and then by the end of the game, I'm like at 86, 87%. So it's actually, you can see it work on the Instinct, where in this one, I don't know, I keep hoping that they maybe do a better job or think of some other way to collect it. I don't know how, but it just doesn't seem to make as much of an impact as I'd hoped. Battery on it is respectable still, obviously. It's nowhere near the Instinct capabilities, but I am still, I have no problem getting through a full, obviously a week of decent heavy use is no problem at all. I probably charge it, like I said, I've never gone to the bottom with it, but I feel like after a week I'm like at 30%, maybe like 20, 30%, somewhere in that range is what I typically have left over after a week. And that's usually with maybe 1 or 2 bike rides. So that's GPS for an hour, doing some like checking messages, 2 or so weightlifting sessions in there. So, just kind of like basic use. And after a week, I'll be like at 20, 30%. So it's pretty good, I think, for a week of decent use. And like I said, 20, even I could say 25%, that's still another probably 3-4 days of use 5 maybe, depends how you're going to use it. So I think battery is just great. I mean, I'll charge it every couple of days or so. Anytime I take it off my wrist, if I'm just sitting at my desk, I'll take it off and just charge it, just to kind of give my wrist a break, because sometimes it just, you know, gets a little red into there. But yeah, battery's been great, can't complain. And then obviously I'm not a big, you know, athlete. I don't do a whole lot of activities. I basically just weightlift, and then bicycle or elliptical for cardio. So except for weightlifting, and for weightlifting, the heart rate tracking obviously I do think is improved. I am seeing better, more consistent kind of results. And when I say results, mean like as soon as you finish like a set and you look, it's already kind of catching up. A lot of times with wrist-based, there's always this kind of lag. Let's just say you finish your, you know, 10th rep of bench press, and you know your heart rate's racing at like 140, but you look at your watch, it's like at, you know, 80, and then all of a sudden it's like at 120. So you kind of like you start kind of, you know, your heart rate starts kind of come down as you're resting from, but you're missing like, you know, those 5 to 10 seconds of your peak you kind of missing, which is good data. So this one I've noticed, it's when I finish a set, it's like, you know, much higher than I'm accustomed to seeing a wrist-based tracker. As far as the other weightlifting tricks it has, like exercise recognition, auto set, all that kind of stuff, no change there. It's still unfortunately just not really useful. It just slows you down. I mean, I've tried. It's you know, it'll get some of the basic stuff, but it misses a lot. It doesn't quite count all the reps right, so you're always having to fiddle with it. And I mean, if I cared enough about that information, sure, it would help, but I just, you know, I don't really need it, so I'm not gonna waste time playing with it after every rep. But like I said, it's decent. You know, I think if you're someone who tracks your workouts like on a notebook, then I think this is probably quicker. But like me, I don't track it, so then for me it just slows me down. But I think if you're someone that keeps like a journal where you use an app or a notebook, you're logging your reps, sets, weight, all that stuff, then this would probably be just as quick, but obviously it's much easier to have it all there versus on a piece of paper. So for you might be like a break even, but for me it just slows me down, so I don't use it. I tried it to see if it would be more smarter or just kind of recognize better, but it works the same as the previous 2 Fenixes I had, the 7 and the 6 Pro. So no change there. Like I said, the only device that's ever accomplished that really well was the Gymband or Fenix, whatever they rebrand themselves. That's the only one that's ever really kind of nailed the whole exercise tracking and rep counting. Or the B sensor. Well, the B sensor, obviously you clip onto the weight itself, so it does a great job of counting your reps, but you have to tell it what you're doing. Those are more probably better ones suited for that, but this one, it's not my cup of tea. And obviously for cycling, I think it's amazing. This is where this thing really shines, is for cycling, because it gives you metrics galore. I love the stamina feature, the endurance. It's kind of a cool thing just to have. The maps, obviously, for cycling, this is kind of the main reason, because when it comes to weightlifting, like the Fenix or the Instinct can accomplish that too, but for cycling it comes in handy. And then for elliptical, I mean, there's nothing there. But yeah, that is it for the update on this Fenix, other than, you know, 2 thumbs up, great watch. You know, it kind of, you know, makes it hard to want to review anything, to be honest. It's so good. You know, years I'd always be excited to try different brands, different watches, and, you know, test them, try them. It was fun, but, you know, I feel like Garmin has set the bar so freaking high that just nothing compares to it. I've tried Coros, Samsung, Amazfit. It's just, you know, I mean, they're not bad watches. It's just that the Garmin is so freaking good that it's, you know, hard to like wear a different watch. It's always a downgrade. It's like having a Ferrari in your garage and then, you know, trying to drive around in like your, you know, Mustang or Camaro. They're great cars, but when you got a Ferrari, it's like you want to drive that. That's kind of what it feels like, is that this watch, I feel like, just so leaps and bounds ahead of its competition that it makes it difficult to park this and wear something else. So yeah, that's why I kind of just haven't really been reviewing other watches like I have in the past. Is just this thing's too good. Like I said, the only thing that caught my interest was the Whoop. And the only reason the Whoop caught my interest was because it allowed me to wear my other watches and still collect data. So we'll see if I ever return to that. But for now, this is the one to go. Expensive, it is. I get it. You know, not a cheap watch, but, you know, it is a reliable, robust watch. Garmin supports these watches for years after release, which is super cool. So, you know, if you invest $700-800 in this watch, don't think that in a year it's going to be obsolete. I mean, Garmin will push updates, you know, for I think 3, 4, 5 generations deep. So you'll get years and years of use out of it, despite all the new versions come out. That's one thing about Garmin. It's nice that they do support a lot of the older models for years to come. And even honestly, most of the features that you need or you get. And after that, it becomes a hardware issue. Like if they come up with something newer, it might just be that your watch doesn't have the hardware for it. But you, like, if they stopped updating this watch today, you can still go on using it for years, right? You got everything you need. So, all right, that's it. I'll put a link in the description in case you want to check it out. Like I said, I get all my fitness watches from PlayBetter. That's kind of my preferred store. They do help support my channel by giving me a slight discount on some of the stuff, makes it easier for me to get. But they also have good pricing, no sales tax for me, which is another save right there, and a great return policy. So if you're looking for a Garmin watch, check out the link below, and I will catch you on the next one.